What is up, guys? Welcome to this edition of the Friday Recap. We have the full panel here this morning, Mark, Eric, and of course, James. This one's a little different. We started off with addressing the biggest news item for the day, of course, the attempted assassination of the former Prime Minister or President, Donald Trump. We did that because, we've all got some fairly strong views on it, but also this affects us as business people worldwide. No matter where you do business in the world, what happens in American politics matters from an economic point of view. So we dive into that at the start of the pod, but then we move into a whole bunch of other really interesting stuff. We had some really interesting discussions around new and emerging business models, what we learned from two spectacular guests that we had on the pod earlier this week. Those episodes are not out yet, but we talked about what we learned from these two young entrepreneurs, different businesses, they don't know each other, but both in their 20s, both absolutely crushing it in business. And we talked about the importance of staying open and learning from people, no matter where they come from in the landscape. One was a girl who was 23 when she started her business. Today, the combined revenue in her group is $20 million a year after 4 years. I mean, talk about learning from young people and being open at 50. I've never done that. And so I was super impressed. We share some of those biggest learnings. And we also talk about another company that before they even had a product, went and got retail distribution through 2,500 retailers on spec, which is pretty crazy. So it's a really cool pod. It's really diverse as always. All we ask is drop a comment below. Let us know what you think of it, what questions you'd like to ask us, because soon we're going to be answering those live on air. And make sure you subscribe, because that signals to future guests that we have an audience that is engaged and loves what we're doing. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Enjoy the show. We'll see you soon. Here's a fun fact about our show. We put a ton of effort into making these podcasts for you. The one thing that we would love for you to do if you actually get value out of the pod is just hit that subscribe button. By doing that, it helps us get better guests on the show because they can see that we have a bigger audience. So if you're enjoying the content, just hit the subscribe button below, and then throughout the podcast, drop a comment so that we know that we're hitting the mark or how we can improve. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the episode. What is up, guys? Welcome to this Friday session. We are in for an absolute cracker here today. The fireworks have been flying before we've even started. Of course, pardon the pun, shots fired. It's going to be all systems go here today. How are you, Mark? What's going on?
Mate, I'm doing well. I've got my Team USA t-shirt on today.
Team USA.
Just in support of what's going on over in the US. It's crazy times.
James, how are you, mate?
Mate, I'm all the better for robbing you on last Saturday night.
Oh, my God.
Several $100s. We'll call it about 700.
James, I'll tell you what, I don't know whether he's just taking the piss, because he comes over for the first time late last year for a game of poker with us. And he comes in, I've never played poker before. Second game was the end of year tournament. He took down both tables, walked out with all the cash, and then he rinsed me on Friday, Saturday night.
It's a good feeling. I just love watching you squirm and just constantly buying back in. And then every buy you're fucking getting more infuriated. I'm sitting right next to you. I said, you might just give me the cash.
To be fair, right? Now, how often does this happen for the poker players out there? I had a full house and I got beaten by another full house. Okay, two full houses on the table at the same time is a very rare occurrence in poker.
Yeah.
And I lost to James. I thought, all right, well, take out the chance. You got to back a full house, right? So I go in, he beats me. 2 hands later, guess what? I get another full house and I lose again. Back to back.
That was my favorite part of the night, because he just said, there's nothing you could do.
They didn't say it quite like that. He was absolutely fucking destroyed inside. He was like fucking cookie. It's like a kid. It's not fair, Mom.
And it was at his place, right? So it was that point in time where he's like, everyone just grab your money and get the fuck out.
I put on the food and then you fuck.
To rub inside his injury, I wasn't drinking that night. I thought I've just rinsed him with all his money. I'm like, do you mind if I have a glass of that red wine too?
It was a good time. It was great.
I think I seen you walk out with the fireplace.
Well, if you can't pay you to settle your debts, I'm going to start taking assets.
It's going to be a long time before you come back. So how are you, Eric? Welcome.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
You're rugged up, man.
Very, very fresh this morning for me. And James loves pumping the AC in here. It could be 5-6 degrees outside, and he's pumping this thing to 19 degrees in here. So I got my...
A little bit warm as it is, mate.
The guys
all the hot air coming out of you, mate.
Oh my good.
Just running on overheat mode all the time.
Yeah, it's just red hot. There is like antibiotics for that.
Carly's using the cream.
Oh my God. Okay, guys. So we got a big schedule ahead of us, a big ticket. Before we jump into it, rather than do the usual pump for early bird, our sponsor for the podcast, I wanted to share a quick story because I think the listeners will find this interesting, because a lot of times people have been asking, can you give us a practical example of how you guys are using early bird in your business? And so I'm going to give you one example. We're in there this week, Eric and I, for our meeting, and Chris is building it for us right at the moment for our e-com business, dry flush toilets. And there's this really cool technology now where when an order gets placed for our e-commerce product, we obviously click name, email, phone number, all that sort of stuff. And there's a voice cloning software that they are integrating for us, such that a few minutes after the sale occurs on our website, a voicemail, their mobile phone rings just for like instantaneously, and then it shows as a missed call, and it goes straight into their voicemail, and it using the data, and I have to do 2 hours of voice training where the AI, and I don't even have to do that because there's so many videos of me online. It's just going to grab all those videos to get to know my voice, and then every time a sale gets made, the AI is going to send a voicemail. Let's say Mark just bought a toilet. It's going to say, hey, Mark, it's Adam here from Dry Flush Toilets, the owner. I just want to say thanks so much for buying from us. Sorry I missed you, but just wanted to let you know that we appreciate you. If you need anything, our team's here. Let us know on this email address, or you can call this number. And so within minutes, there's going to be a missed call and a voicemail message from this AI that sounds exactly like me, thanking for their business and so on. So what's really exciting over there is some of the voice technologies they're now bringing on. And man, I can tell you this for a fact, you can't tell the difference. No, honestly, when it's done, I'm going to play it here on the pod so people can hear it. But there is so many permutations of that and opportunities for outbound calling, follow-up, whether it be mailbox drops like that one, or whether it just be outbound, hey, would you like to book an appointment? If you're a Botox clinic, hey, it's Sarah here calling from whatever Botox, just calling on behalf of the doctor, would you like me to book in? That kind of stuff can be happening to your entire client base. And unlike Sarah, who actually sits on the counter, this will never miss. It will call on the day that they're supposed to call, at the time they're supposed to call, or it can do voicemail drops. So
and so what if the client answers?
No, it doesn't. It just pulses and then goes straight to voicemail.
It's called Ringless voicemail. So that technology's been around. What they're doing is customizing it to insert name like a mom emoji, hi Mark, versus just hi there. So it'll be customized and bespoke to the individual.
So even if you don't have voicemail, it's...
No, so if you I've looked into this extensively, so you can, it works on mobile numbers, but if you went through to a corporate or a business and it's got like a host of PBX, where you can press 1 for this, press 2 for that, it doesn't work. It works for mobile specifically. Generally, is where the limitations are for the actual technology behind Ringless voicemail.
Interesting.
And it was only 2 months ago that we were sitting with them, and Chris was like, voice is coming, just wait. And he showed us one, and he's like, it's average, not great yet. I remember Adam saying, it's not great yet. And 2 months later, here we are going, it literally sounds exactly with not, they'll know the difference. The lag's gone out of it now.
Yeah, the lag's gone out of it. And with the voice cloning, it is frightening. Like, it is me. Like, you cannot tell the difference.
There's a good little, here's a good tip for everyone as well, to, with relation to family members and whatnot, to have a code word, because literally there are going to be people out there that are trying to pull scams through voice cloning.
Yeah.
So, make sure with your loved ones and your family and friends, you've got a code word.
You've got a code word, Eric?
Yeah, talk me through that. James Denham. All the kids already know it.
We know James's safe word is
chloroform.
We've got to cut that out.
Oh, God.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I won't end that one.
It's nice to promote yourself, shouldn't you?
No, don't worry, man.
It's such a mystery that you're single.
You know what's amazing? That James breaks up with his girlfriends on a pod and doesn't even realize it.
Moving right along. So
happens pretty fast.
Anyway, guys, the whole point of this story about Early Bird was they're doing really cool practical stuff over there, and we're implementing it in our businesses. And this is where we keep saying, there are going to be small businesses that go much bigger really quickly, while their competitors are going, the AI is the future, whereas the ones that are realizing AI is actually the now I have never in my life seen a technology move as quickly as AI. I've seen the internet revolution. I've seen mobile phones. I've seen almost television. I've seen all that stuff. And nothing has moved or iterated at the speed, James. I can feel you trying to edge one in. Nothing has iterated at the speed of AI. So go over to earlybird.ai, and it's EARLI, earlybird.ai. And I can say, because every second Monday, Eric and I are sitting in the shareholders meeting, and we are seeing the clients that are joining Early Bird and getting work done. And these are some very, very well-known brands that are flocking there because they realize this is a big opportunity, a big moment in life. So anyway, so there it is. That's the plug. So get over there and check it out. They'll do a free audit, look at your business, and they're really now focusing on ways to convert more and attract more business. That's really where they can help people the most. All right, with that said, let's talk about the biggest story of the week. Now, we don't often talk about stuff outside of business, but this one, will shape the environment in which all of us are trying to conduct a business in a very substantial way. People who are a bit younger don't realize the reach and impact of US politics, but trust me, the US politics has an influence here in Australia, and if you're trying to make plans and conduct a business here, it matters.
It leads everything.
The US political landscape is far-reaching, and we are witnessing some fairly historic moments. I think that was a historic moment. Not quite up there with the death of Princess Diana or something, but it's up there. It's one of those moments that we'll all look back on and remember clearly. So to kick this off over, the question for you guys: do you think any of the Secret Service said Donald Duck? Too soon?
I love the setup. It's important. It's serious. It's going to change the whole business landscape. Donald Duck. I think what's the viewership just good.
It's the dad joke of the day, guys.
Wow.
So
whatever. Was here at every
serious question.
You only get one chance, mate. You've blown it.
I will throw this out there, right? Because
Please don't turn off now.
I'll start by framing it this way. So I'm in a few WhatsApp groups, and I was just saying this off camera that, obviously the WhatsApp groups that you're in, you guys would have all lit up, right? And in every WhatsApp group, you've got, usually a conservative, and you've got like an extreme conspiracy theorist and all this. Like, hopefully, if you haven't got that diversity, you're missing out on some fun.
Tell me about it.
And so, we in our little WhatsApp group, one of the guys sort of said, because I'll give you my views in a minute, but I was basically like, this is, to me, feels extremely sus. Like, there's something off here, in my opinion, right? This is either mass incompetence or it's malice. There's a plan there. That was sort of and I sort of started to float that idea. One of the guys said, I think we should just wait and let the facts reveal themselves. And I've been thinking about that afterwards, and I love this guy. He's a very, very close friend of mine, and he brings balance and a calm voice. But I thought about it over the next few days, and I've been like, I actually used to be exactly like that. The voice of calm and reason, and just wait until we're told what the facts are. And I realized I've had like quite a quantum shift through what we went through with COVID, that, you know what, I'm not going to wait for the facts. I'm going to actually get off my lazy ass now and do some logical, critical thinking on these types of matters, instead of just waiting for others to assemble a panel of experts on a news channel and tell me what I should think of what happened, right? And that for me was quite a big shift, and observing that in big shift through time. And, I've probably watched the same videos that have been circulated, but I would be interested what you guys think of it. Like, do you think this is a plot, or do you think it was just like, it was just a lapse in security, an embarrassing lapse? What are your thoughts?
Well, there's regardless of what you think it is, as far as is it sus, is it this, is it that? I watched the article this morning, PBD, and Eric Prince of Blackwater, who's obviously owned the largest, or operates the largest private security force in the world, and he said it was just an absolute clusterfuck. Full stop. So whether it was intentional or not, it was a shit show from a security perspective, and it would never happen on his watch. So
I watched that as well.
Yeah.
And whether it's malice and there's some evil doing behind, it is a breach of security, because if you like, all it takes is go into Google Earth, look at the potential threats. I mean, it's not like it was New York City with high-rise buildings everywhere that you could.
Pennsylvania, 4 barns and a fucking open space.
Yeah, like I've got friends in my building who are massive farmers down in northern New South Wales, and they've got AI drones that can send a drone up and spot a weed that's 1 centimetre out of the ground and tell you what they've got to put on board the trucks to kill the weeds from 1,000 feet in the air. But you can't see a guy with a rifle with 10 buildings around it. Like,
I think just to your earlier point about, questioning and not just waiting for the facts to come out. I mean, I've got a bit of a personal experience with this. Like, I think I saw it literally unfolding on X. The clips just started coming on and being posted, and I'm like, shit, is he dead? Because the first clip, you see him go down, and that's all you see, and you're like, oh my God. I'm like to Dom, hey, I think Donald Trump's just been shot. And so for that whole morning, for that whole day, it kind of sent my world into a tailspin, because I'm not just looking at it from the point of view, oh, this is news. I'm thinking, what does this mean on a macro level? What does this mean for my business? What does this mean for the society? Could this turn into civil war? So my head starts processing and running all the different scenarios. And there's people around like kind of making jokes and things like that. And I'm just trying to process the future out. And so I do think that there is an element of, whether it be panic early or try and understand what these events mean. I think it's really, really important. But yeah, I think in relation to whether it was set up or whether it was malice, I think there's a really fine line between that. And I've been listening to, there's a bunch of sniper experts that are coming out and starting TikTok channels and Instagram profiles, but there's this one guy, Tim Kennedy, who's written a book. He was a Green Beret, he was a UFC fighter, and he had an hour-long interview with Chris Williamson. And I've only listened to the first 15 minutes on the way here, but some of the things that he's saying is that there was extreme clusterfuck. Like the amount of things that went wrong make you wonder what has been happening. And he says you've got to look back 3 years at the policies of Secret Service, the hiring policies, all the different things that are happening. He says a 10-year-old can make that shot 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Right? He says his 9-year-old boy will make that shot 10 out of 10. That's the kind of shot that it was. What else does he say? He said there's a lot of video of the guy coming off the gun and then going back on the gun. He's like, it was probably his first time in a firefight. Like, he's probably like, what the fuck's happening here? So he's like, I'm not saying it was intentional or set up. He goes, but the amount of things that are happening that lead you to believe, wow, this is an epic fuck up of massive proportions.
America
are huge.
I mean, they must be having some intense conversations, because the whole world has just watched Americans with their black sunglasses on and their intimidating look just be embarrassed, like, massively. Even the radio chatter of the special Secret Service guys that were on them was like, what do we do? Like, what? The Blackwater guy was like, these guys, if they were properly trained, he said, this is a symptom of an overfunded, underskilled, government-led, of course he's probably, running his own book because he's the head of Blackwater Private Security, but he's also not wrong.
No.
You'd think that they would be. Yeah.
I just see it as, number one, it's a miracle, right, that he did not get killed.
Yeah.
Like that is just, talk about like whatever's meant to be is meant to be. He was obviously not meant to be killed that day. And two, I look at it as if he did get killed, I honestly think we would be sitting here with CNN on and different news channels, and America would be on fire. Like it would be...
It make Rodney King look like a family barbecue.
Like you got to...
Civil War.
Like,
Civil War.
We got to remember, man, when Trump lost last election, they ransacked the White House. Like, these people can do crazy things. And at the same time, I mean, people in general. And... yeah, I think it's a blessing that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because if it did, I think it would have affected the economy massively.
Yeah.
Whereas Bitcoin's on a bit of a run again, and the market's got a bit of a step in it. Like, these are the things that, one, Like, what was it? Was it a centimeter? Not even. What was it?
So one of the things that Tim Kennedy says as well, he says, without a shadow of a doubt, the fact that he turned his head to look at the screen at the moment of the shot saved his life.
Yeah.
Right. And what's really interesting is I've got like right-leaning friends in WhatsApp groups that are at loggerheads about whether it was set up from the left side, it was set up from the right side. Like people can't even agree on that. But regardless of all of that, the fact is that if that bullet had a hit, you are 100% right. America would be in fucking lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump has risk appetite, but I don't think he has that much risk appetite to let that guy shoot a bullet at his head and just to graze him.
How's his response? True Trump style. Next day he's on the golf course and he says to the caddy about dropping a putt. He said, "Well done." He said, "Yeah, unlike the shooter, I don't miss."
Yeah, that was great.
Then the next day, like last night, he's at the next rally, just a little patch on his ears, walking out like a boss. He's like, "Fuck you."
But I wonder how that would impact. Like, yes, okay, Donald Trump, however you look at him, he's still a human, right? And how would that affect you from a psychological level now, right? Knowing that you've been an attempt on your life and knowing that it was maybe there before, but this actually happened. You were a centimeter away or whatever it was of getting killed. How do you actually now go day by day? Like, are you looking at rooftops? Are you looking in windows? Are you like, does PTSD kick in? Like, what happens?
Look at Donald Trump, right? Like he's a multi-billionaire. He doesn't have to be doing this. He could be on the golf course, playing golf courses all over the world, sipping margaritas and cocktails. He's got a wife, family, kids. He doesn't have to be doing this, but he's choosing to do this, right? Then it happens, and love him or hate him or whatever, he doesn't cower. He pumps his fist. I believe that you're going to see a sense of gratitude from him. You might. I hope. My hope is you see a sense of humility. And
you saw it at the convention the next day, like the rally the next day. The first time I've seen him show a glimmer of emotion, as in, he was swelling up. You could see it. He didn't break, but you could see it the next day when the crowd were on their feet. But I think one thing I think is for certain, if he stays alive between now and the election, he's going to win in a landslide. Yeah. If he stays alive.
Agreed.
And because I think it's awakened that spirit in people. Like, look, I reckon they actually awakened people that even don't like him, that go, you know what? I don't like him. But you don't go doing that to someone. You don't try to kill somebody you have a political disagreement with. That's not the solution. I'm going to vote that way, even if they don't like the human.
And seeing the amount of people on the other side saying, "I hope they don't miss next time," and things like that. I mean, that shit is just sickening. Like, there's no place, there's no room for that.
Yeah, because it's a much larger thing. It's not about this is about democracy. And I got people in Instagram, this and that, and I was like, dude, like, you're talking about killing democracy, not a human being. Yeah. Like this, you're taking out the principal tenant. And if you don't like a democratic society, it's like I get into the arguments with these crazy fucking socialists on Instagram that are like, fucking Australia's, capitalism and life. If you don't like it, fuck off. Do you like the iPhone you're typing this shit in?
Yeah.
That's capitalism, right? Do you like the fact that you got a nice home to live in? Do you like go and talk to somebody who's lived in a socialist country really for a long period of time and then hate on Australia? Yeah. Just fuck off if you don't like it.
Did you see the video? There was a video going around of a girl I seen on Ryan Garcia posted it, and then he mentioned that he was, she needs to go to a psych ward and all this stuff. And it was literally a girl driving, videotaping herself going, "How the fuck can they miss that? They should have killed him." Yeah, like it went viral. And she's basically just going, they could have gotten rid of, they could have gotten rid of half of the problem. And they couldn't get it done. I'm like, oh my God.
And I don't post much on Instagram, but I put one up as a Hillary Clinton going, "What do you mean they missed?" I was like, too soon. Like this shit's
the memes are on
memes in it. Now he's in
the recording studio.
Now he's okay. It's like a free for all.
Once with Biden with an AK going.
But it's funny because whether love him or hate him or whatever, if he had died, it would have been fucking chaos in America, It would have been chaos for our businesses. It would have been chaos for the economy. It would have been chaos. My hope is that he's able to take these events and unify the country. And there is early signs that he's trying to do that. There's a call. I haven't even had a chance to watch it, but there's a call that he made to RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., asking him to kind of step aside and come have a seat at the table with him. And that, I think, is an attempt at unification. And I think if it goes down that path where he's able to unify America, we're going to see an economic boom, and we're going to see that ripple through.
I mean, that's interesting as well, right? Like aligning yourself with a Kennedy after that, because that moment is maybe the most substantial moment in American history, was the assassination of JFK. So reaching out to RFK right after it.
Yeah, and he actually got him Secret Service approved, because Trump made a tweet basically saying RFK needs Secret Service assigned immediately, and then Biden went in and assigned Secret Service detail to RFK. So
hopefully not the same one the day of the shooting.
I mean, do we want to go there or?
No, I mean, look, it's very overall. I find it quite sad, because I think the US is losing so much credibility on so many fronts. And as much as you might hate Donald Trump, I certainly do not like many aspects of who Donald Trump is as a person, or as I perceive him to be. And I don't like many aspects of American life, but at the end of the day, but I also love, having lived there, I love so many aspects of America, and it's a country full of so many good people as well. And I think of the choices for world superpower, I would rather America than anyone else.
And that's why I wore the T-shirt today.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because at the end of the day, it's a bit of fun, but I also genuinely have support for that country, because I believe that if it's someone else, that that can have
and that's where 95% of your Amazon sales come from as well. So you need to protect that.
The better of all evils, right? Like that's.
I agree. Well, just before we move off this and move on to some business stuff, I was actually surprised, because I posted a little bit of political stuff before this happened on my Insta. I did one Tucker Carlson post from the tour with Clive
Palmer.
Clive Palmer, yep. And I put up a post saying, it was Tucker talking about energy in Australia and how we sell our coal and then buy it back, And I said, look, can somebody who knows about this stuff debate Tucker on the points? Like, just if you disagree, I don't know enough about it. Man, what was surprising about the posts, it went viral, like on my thing. I had, 100,000 plus in a few days. But what I was surprised was the level of Australia hate from Australians, right? The amount of Australians that are now like, Australia's shit, it's been shit for years. And I was like, whoa, like coming up throughout my history, Australians were proud to be Australians. But you can look at the comments on my account, man, and like there's so many. I'm like, whoa! Like it's one thing to have an opposing political view, but to hate the country and to say Australia's shit, and I'm like, no, actually, Australia's not shit. It's still there's some problems.
Yeah.
But the real problem I see is we're so divided now, and America is so divided. We look at America. Look how polarized. Everyone's on the left or everyone's on the right. There's no one in the middle anymore. That's happened here 100%. In my experience, and we've got to now bring. If we want a better country and a better future, we've got to start bringing and listening. Like the number of the people that went into that post that hate Tucker Carlson, but refuse to engage him on any points, right? All they do is, he's this, he's that, he's a puppet, he's that. But I'm like, okay, all good, but can you please present a plausible argument against the points that he made? Nobody's interested in that. And so, while I've got the mic, I'm saying to everyone listening, all of us, before we lean into the comments of the world, is think about what we're actually doing and be open to being wrong. Because I've been certainly wrong about some huge things, and as you get older, the wiser you get, the more you realize you're wrong.
And get out of your echo chamber from time to time, right? Like this goes for business, life, whatever it is. That's one of my favorite things about WhatsApp groups, is that there's always so many different sides to the argument. So you can get differing opinions from these groups, and it can help to steelman the other side of the argument. And I think that's such an important thing in life.
And people
see the other
accuse you and
side.
say, "Oh, you've changed," and you're like, "Yeah," and you haven't. Like you've changed is what the essence of life is, and it's all about that. So, let's move off that and move on to some business stuff. Who's got something that's gone on this week that they want to lead off with?
I'll lead off with something that actually happened last night. So no, it's actually not what you're thinking of. So go back 4 years ago. We're in our real estate office, and a young kid comes in dressed in a suit with 3 or 4 coffees, and he comes in and he says, "Hey guys, just want to introduce myself. My name is X, and I've got a media company. I do property videos, and I just want to introduce myself, and I wanted to bring you some coffees." And you could tell he was young, right? And I'm like, good on you, well done. Like no one does this stuff anymore. So I started to give him some work, and we became friends, right? And he's 17 at the time, and he started to, add value, ring me, "Hey, can I take you out for breakfast and ask you some questions?" And we built a bit of a relationship up over time. And I've, introduced him to others, and he got, through referrals and got more work and the rest of it. And he's now 21. And I've seen him kind of grow his business and himself. And when you're in that, like when you think of yourself when you're 21, right? When you're 21, and especially here on the Gold Coast, there's a lot of 21-year-olds now that are making some big money, fast lives, fast cars, penthouses, not thinking about investing at all. They're just like, make money, spend money. So he rang me a couple of weeks ago and said, and I've been very open with him in regards to my businesses in property. I said, you need to be careful, because these guys that are saying, "I'm making $1 million a week and I'm making it's a lot of it's a fugazi. It's just chatter, And I show him some stuff. I go, "Look, this is what we did at MX yesterday. This is real, have a look at this." Stuff like that, and really inspire him. Look at the property, I'd take him to a property. I bought this property, check this out. And he gets inspired. And a couple of weeks ago, he rings me and says, "I've got X amount of money saved up, and what do you recommend me doing?" And I sat down with him and gave him my honest opinion on where he's at and his serviceability levels and the rest of it. And yesterday I took him to a friend of mine who's a developer last night, and showed him a product that he's building that he could buy off the plan and not have to worry about for 3 years, right? And he could just concentrate on making cash. And he bought his first property yesterday.
Wow. Good.
Yeah, at 21 years old. And I'm like, and I messaged them after. I said, "Listen, you're going to be going through a shit ton of emotions now. You're going to be going through the, oh shit, what happened? Oh no, the world's going to crumble." And I said, "You're going to get everybody now that's going to give you advice on why you shouldn't buy it and why you should buy it and all the bullshit, right?" I said, "Just stay true to yourself. You've done a good thing." And I said, and I tried to get him into a property a couple of years ago, and I told him, "Remember that property?" He goes, "Yeah, what's that worth now?" I said, "It's worth X." And he's just like, "Oh my God, I should have done this." And this isn't spruiking trying to buy off the plan. What this is spruiking is just what happens when you surround yourself with the right people and you get mentored in a way. And it was never coming from trying to push a sale or push an angle, but like just legitimately a 21-year-old going, I want to follow kind of in your footsteps. And I'm like,
out of interest, how much was the property and how much did he have to put down?
So the property was $820,000.
Yep.
And he's got to put down a 10% deposit.
So $80,000 that he saved through his video business?
That he saved, just through business,
How good.
And
that's incredible, right?
Yeah,
like a 21-year-old with $80,000 is amazing.
And some people can sit here and go, "Oh, the market's." I surround myself with people. I've got friends that said the market's going to shit itself for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Right. My dad's been telling me the market's going to shit itself since my first house I bought when I was 18.
So it's Harry.
So with Harry Dent.
Yeah. So now we can't. No one can time a market, right? But at the end of the day, it's just time in the market and just holding on. So that if it goes up, it goes down, goes up, goes down. But let me tell you, we all sitting here on the panel would have loved to buy Bitcoin 10 years ago. We would have loved to buy property 10 years ago. And that's the reality. But moral of the story is he's backed himself. He's got good advice, and surrounded himself with good people, not just myself, but, he's taken the plunge.
Not financial advice, but most of us are sitting where we're sitting today because we bought property 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, that's the name of the game that's a textbook.
But that's awesome, right? That's a cool story.
Can I add?
Because it's a full circle. You know, I met this kid at 17, comes in with this nice suit. You know,
can I add something to that story, or maybe give a little bit of my personal story from when I bought my first property? So, my story is kind of really, really similar to that. I was working in house and land, and one of the guys who was developing a medium density site, so 25 units within my project, he bought the site and he's going to get plans and permits and develop the 25. So I actually bought my first property off him. So I became friends with him as he was coming in, asking for information, seeing if I could help him sell them, whatever. I bought my first property from him. I think it was like, I don't know, it was only 310,000 back at the time, house and land. And I actually didn't have to put the deposit down. So because I built a relationship with him, I said, look, I'll buy your property. I think he had it on the market for like 290 or something. I said, I'll buy it. I'll give you 300,000 instead of 290, but I don't have the deposit. Can you lend that to me, vendor finance, 0 interest over 3 years? And I'll give you the 30 grand deposit over 3 years. And he's like, what the fuck's this? And I'm like, oh, come on, help me out. And he did it for me. And so I bought my first property, no money down. As I made a relationship.
Coming down. Mark the bowler, no money down property. Yeah. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the pod. I just want to take a quick moment to share a quick story with you about something going on in one of my businesses right now. We are using artificial intelligence to send a voice clone of myself directly into our customers' voicemail inboxes the moment after they purchase our product. Well, not the moment, a few minutes after. So with our toilets business, Dry Flush, people put in their name, their email, their phone number when they order the toilets. 5 minutes later, their phone rings once and it goes straight to their voicemail. And we're using an AI that clones my voice and says, hey, Terry, if that's their name, grabbing the name from the order form using my voice, it drops a customized voicemail to say, hey, Terry, what's going on? Adam here from Dry Flush. Just want to say thank you so much for ordering one of our toilets. Sorry I missed you. I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate your business. If there's anything you need, just send us an email at hello@dryflush.com.au. And that goes out to every customer every time a few minutes after the purchase. This is what the team at earlybird.ai are building for us right now, as along with some other very, very cool solutions that are going to increase customer experience, increase the number of 5-star reviews we get, and automate the amazing experience that we are aiming to provide when you buy from our e-commerce store. So if you want to learn about that and your business is doing over $500,000 a year, you qualify for a free audit with the team at earlybird.ai. That's EARLI, earlybird.ai. And they will do an audit of your business and show you how they can put artificial intelligence like that into your business, whether it's voice cloning, video face cloning, all kinds of amazing technologies that are available right now. So go over there, get your free audit, and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So similar, same story. I fucking will, isn't it? I went and bought a property with no deposit. Didn't have the deposit, and I didn't even have any a stable income at that point because I was contracting. And this is how loose finance was back then. I just got a mate who had a company to write me a letter. Saying I had a meeting with the mortgage broker, which now you could probably go to jail for doing this. They said, just write a letter, you need an X amount, get 2 pay slips. I went and bought a pay slip book from the news agency, submitted that and got the loan through. That property is 61 Barata Street in Southport. I've had 128 grand for it.
Wow.
That's going back a few years just quietly. But
in the 70s,
he's the one always telling me not to give financial advice, and now he's just indicting himself.
Hang on. Real estate is unregulated. I didn't say real estate. I said fucking share market. Hence why I went from stock market education to property development and property marketing. You can say whatever the fuck you like, Mark.
No, but I mean, look, it's pretty. There's so much. Australian wealth is just so littered with stories like this, Yeah. I did a post actually on Instagram where I said, here's a wealth creation book in one Instagram post. make as much money as you can in business, get that fiat currency and put it into hard assets, whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's property, or blue chip shares, whatever. Just don't leave your money in cash. Not financial advice, but that's...
but that's what I was explaining to him over the years, right? And I'm like, okay, you go back and look at what, a car was worth 5 years ago. You look at what property's worth 5 years ago. You look at what, a loaf of bread was worth 5 years. You look at this and you look at the value of the money. I said, if you had that same money in the bank account 5 years ago and you have it now, how much less can you buy with it? And that is the reality, right?
I sent you guys some charts in the group the other day. Someone had basically plotted the increase in Australia's M2 money supply. So that's basically money that the Reserve Bank is putting into the system. And they're plotting the increase of that money going into the system versus asset prices. So versus the ASX, versus property, versus Bitcoin. And you just see or maybe we can throw it up,
chart,
but you can see how crazy, like property and ASX is like keeping trend with the increase of the money that's coming to the system. But Bitcoin's just like flying and outperforming it, way above it. So to Adam's point, we have these macro forces that aren't going to stop anytime soon, potentially, that we have to pay attention to.
This is what a lot of our listeners really need to understand. And like Grant Cardone has said this for years, Robert Kiyosaki has said this for years, trash is cash. And
cash is trash.
Cash is trash, sorry, yeah. Cash is trash. And it's for that reason. They don't realize, like they hear the word inflation, but like at 3%, people are like, oh, it's only 3%, right? But there are countries where it's way higher. But that is just pure theft from people. It is the government.
There's a difference between high street inflation, which is that inflation, and currency debasement, monetary inflation, which is...
But like you look at a kid like this that's got 80 grand, right? What else do you do if you don't have the serviceability to buy today, right? You buy Bitcoin and you hold and you pray and you hope. You can buy in the ASX. You can, but zero leverage, right? So that 80, if it doubles, you get another 80, right? But if that property goes up by 20 or 30% in 3 years, I don't know, right?
That's why real estate is
that
so
leverage, all of a sudden, you're not getting 100% return. You can get a 150, 200, 250% return, depending on what the market does, as an example. And that's
very hard to beat with property.
Especially with leverage on property as well. Unlike the stock market, if you get margin call because it's gone past your entry, you get called, you're fucked. With real estate in Australia, you don't get margin call.
That's if you got leverage on this.
Correct.
Yeah.
But when you sit down just with a pen and paper, you don't have to be that smart to do this. It's very, very hard to beat leveraged property against anything. Even Bitcoin, if Bitcoin doubles, triples, quadruples from here, without leverage, it's still hard to beat leverage, like what you're talking about. But the young person today, not every young person has 80 grand, which is why they go and they either start a business or invest in Bitcoin or whatever.
He has no car.
Yeah.
Right? Now, this is one thing that's crazy. Like, he Ubers everywhere, but like, he's got a Ferrari on his screensaver. He's like, this is what I really want, right? I said, and then I pointed at the building. I said, you keep doing this stuff, and that's what will pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't go work every day to then have to pay your $3 or $4 grand a month lease, right? That everyone thinks you're rich. Meanwhile, you're not. Get your assets to increase over time and provide you the cash flow to then invest into your Ferraris and the bullshit that we all love.
Yeah, 100% correct. Like, I think that's potentially the biggest financial literacy learning that we can try and offer our kids as they grow up. The value of assets and the value of investing in assets and compounding. And not everyone is suitable for business and entrepreneurship, but everyone has the ability to work and put money away, and
you have to invest that money because otherwise you will end up, because every time they print money, every time they debase the currency, you go into the marketplace and you render goods or services and effort and skill in exchange for money. And then the government turns around behind your back and prints some for free and gives it to other people. And how is that fair? That is just theft. Well, and what they're doing is raising the bar and saying, you now have to exert more energy to do the same thing. It's energetic theft, and they're borrowing from the future generations every time they debase our currency.
Yeah.
And they're doing this, and if you've got kids and you are not spending time and you actually give a shit about your kids' future, they are being robbed right now at scale in a grand fucking theft, and they're making it harder and harder and harder. And, And as you get richer, you start to understand this because you go, okay, I want to stop working. Then you start to go, oh, let's have a look at this thing called inflation again. You think you've got your nut, which might be your $5 million, and you go, but every year that nut's being eaten away by this. It's theft. You know, it's terrible.
You know, I think we spoke about this on a previous pod.
And we accept it as normal. That's what's the problem.
Oh, it's like boiling the frog, right?
Right.
Slowly raising the temperature. I think we spoke about this on the previous pod about, you know, my sister ringing me and saying, you know, I've got to work out a way to pay off the mortgage. It's like, if that nest egg that's worth $1 million in 10 years is buying half what it bought 10 years ago, then your $1 million loan is effectively halving in value as well. So to have debt in on a depreciating currency is actually a good thing because the value of that debt is dropping, right?
Correct.
I'm not sure if I explained that properly, but the currency is depreciating. The asset is appreciating. The currency.
The debt is So
financial literacy is very important. Like that video you sent me of Amazon and tax and stuff like that. It was interesting, right? Yeah. Like but it's understanding the loopholes. It's and it's surrounding yourself with people, and it's listening. Like a lot of this information is readily available online on YouTube. It's all there. It's just people rather watch Netflix and playing on Adam's posts.
Or they'll ask their accountant, and it's like their accountant doesn't have any property or any assets. They're just good at doing the books, right? Like
we shot 2 cracking pods yesterday with some very impressive young people, and the point came up though about, yes, it's harder than ever for young people to get into the property market, but it's easier than ever for young people to start side hustle businesses with the advent of technology, Shopify, ads, and the e-com market. So there's a balance there as well for those who are prepared to get off their ass and actually go to YouTube, learn how to put a site together.
Yeah.
There was a really a good point that got made yesterday.
Well, it was made by the young people that we interviewed, where they said, yes, houses are more expensive. These were both people in their 20s.
Yep.
Houses are way more expensive, but opportunity is way more vast and available to us than ever before.
And I just can't believe, like, learning and doing these pods and interviewing a lot of these different types of people, some really young people actually over the last month or so, how fast they are growing these businesses to, 8-figure businesses. Like going from, starting MX 14 or so years ago and seeing what we had to do to then get to 10 million and how hard it was back then and how much time it took. Like, yeah, we started in 2020 and then we took it serious in 2022 and, we're now doing $5 million 2 years later, and we're on the verge of, hitting 8 figures in this financial year. And I'm just like scratching my head going, this is unbelievable. Like, it's hard for me to actually comprehend the speed.
Hearing Rachel talk from TBH Skincare, so you guys can Google it if you're at home. We'll release the pod soon. Here she was 23 years old when she started TBH Skincare, and today, 4 years later, she's merged with another company, and the combined revenues are 20 million. Her business is 10 of that, and she started it 4 years ago, and she's 23 when she started. She's 27, 28 now. So, and what that was such, and don't miss this pod because it was such a great example of exactly what Hormozy teaches and exactly what we try to teach, which is the 4-level ascension model, which is solve a real problem to a market that can afford what you're selling, that you can reach and is in a growing niche. And so she has a product that fixes acne, and she's licensed some patented technology from an ASX listed company so that she's got a moat around the business.
Wow. And
it's an amazing story and really, really worth listening to.
No, I was going to say, it was one of those ones where you sit back and think, how much has this person absorbed and learned? The way she spoke was like she was, did mergers and acquisitions, understood the banking aspect, the marketing aspect. It was like, man, what an impressive young lady.
She was a beast.
She was a beast. She's Forbes for 40 under 40 soon for sure.
Oh, I texted her afterwards and I said, Rachel, thanks for coming on. I just can't even imagine where you'll be when you get to my 50, mate. She'll be an absolute weapon.
She already is now.
Oh, she already is now. Yeah, no doubt. Her and her mum started the business, and it's a great story. And the other guys from Melbourne with Vitadrop were also amazing. And what was fascinating about that story was they basically thought, we want to go retail first. They basically sell sort of like powder, like a like
hydration
powder, but it's a cross between what's the hydrolite and Barocca.
Yep.
So it hydrates you, makes you feel fantastic. They blended it together, but what they did was they went to Coles and Woolies using renders and pitched them on the product before it was even made, and got distribution into 2,500 doors through those major retailers. And then when made the product, and now they're going to build their e-com off the back of having the credibility of being in all of these stores.
So they had a marketing agency, prior, right? So they obviously used their superpower, right, of rendering and making things look good and creating an amazing pitch deck to blow these execs out of the water. And, there they are with purchase orders going, okay, we got to make this stuff now.
And we got to finance this. We've got to come up with cash.
Again, though, for the people that were ripping into your DMs about doing the pre-order model, they just did it with the 2 fucking major corporates in Australia. So it can't happen. You just got to open your eyes up and have a little bit more.
We did. We got a lot of blowback from people going, no, you can't do the pre-order. That's not ethical. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like Kogan built Kogan on it.
And these guys just picked the 2 largest companies in this. Two of it's been the food and distribution services space. And
you can't reason with unreasonable people. I've learned that a long time ago. And those people that make those comments, that's fine. Just drive your 2 hours to work, hate your job, have your water cooler talk, come home, and then whinge about your life.
Yeah. That's what it is. And these guys in their 20s, that's why I'm proactively trying to surround myself with younger people. And you guys, are partly part of that plan, because I know that guys in their 50s go stale and they start learning. And when I said to the guy yesterday about going to, Woolies first and then signing him up off renders, he looked at me like, well, what else would you do? I'm like, maybe make the product and get the product market fit. He's like, no. Like, why would you go and do that? Let's just see if they want it first. And I'm like, oh my God, like Adam, you need to learn here.
And then his understanding on finance and capital allocation as well was like next level. Like we all sat back with fuck, and then it came back to get advisory mentorship.
And he's got some heavy hitters at that.
Absolutely
table.
Heavy hitters at the table, and raising capital and being strategic about it. It was a masterclass on finance. So that pod 2 yesterday, tune in and watch that one.
And he was a very likable guy, which comes back. We always say, How to Win Friends and Influence People is a book that every person should read, but especially at the early stages of your career.
Yeah.
Because it really does matter, being able to make people like you. Mm-hmm. And he's a really likable guy.
And we got to be grateful for these people, right? They're literally coming on a pod, right, that is publicized, right, to the world. And they're literally going nitty gritty in their strategy, how they started, how much they had, who's involved, how much they've given away, where the capital's coming from, how they deployed it, their mistakes. A lot of people out there would be like, I ain't going to go on no podcast. I don't tell anybody about my business. Yeah. They hold their cards so close to their chest. And that's why we got to be grateful for this, because people that are listening to this, the amount, the listeners that will be listening to this, that are taking it very seriously, and the comments that we get are getting so much value. I'm getting so much value from interviewing these people.
I just wish this was around when I was younger coming through, because this is literally lifting the kimono. People have made comments in the YouTube before saying that they're getting more value out of this than a $4,000 course they purchased.
Mate, we're about to launch a consumer product, Eric and I, as you guys know, and we'll show the first. We've got the website finished this week, and we'll share it soon when we're ready. But after that one pod yesterday, like one thing Rachel said when I asked her, because she started out as all e-com, which is what we were going to do. We just sell direct consumer, Facebook ads, blah, blah, blah. The company they merged with was all retail and weak on e-com. And so the founder of that company came in for a meeting with them, and they both just clicked like that. And the guy who owned the other company, they were about the same size, I think a couple of $1 million a year each at that point. But he'd had lots of experience, and all of his revenue was from retail, and all of hers was e-com. They said, well, you teach us retail, we'll teach you e-com. They 5x'd the businesses, each of the businesses within 1 year by trading knowledge, merging the companies. Now they have a $20 million business called York Street Brands in Sydney. And I said, did you move in together? They moved the businesses in together. They merged the companies. And this is like that one, those 2 podcasts yesterday are going to reshape, because I asked her, now that you are in retail and she's in Priceline and she's going into Coles and Woolies. What's the split now where you are 100% e-com? How much of your business is now e-com and how much is retail? 70% retail. I was like, wait, what? Like 70% retail? This is on a revenue basis. Think about that. So she's selling the product for half of what she sells it for retail, like direct to consumer. She has to sell it for half that amount to the retail side, and it's 70% at half price. Right?
I think people have forgotten post-COVID, but people still use retail stores. A lot of people still shop for commodity products from retail stores.
Well, you look at Bondi Sands and how much that sold for. It sold for 56 times profit. So $8 million sold for 450. That, I think, was in no small part because of the retail distribution, the brand, the reach, massive retail distribution.
And you know what's amazing is obviously with this product that's being developed is we're now one phone call away from Craig, right? Who is the person that she partnered with that was an expert in retail. We're now one phone call away of going, hey, Rachel, can you put us on the Craig? Let's get on a Zoom call for an hour and pick his brain. And I can guarantee you he'd be happy to do so. And that can change,
totally,
right? The direction of a business and the journey.
And not only that, it's the second guy with VitaDrop, his advisory board.
Yeah.
The one under the CEO at KPMG, like who did the biggest merger in Australian history. He oversaw. I'm talking Wes Farmers merging with something like multi-billion-dollar. This is the guy that's on his board. So people go, why do you guys run a pod and like why do you do this? It's because of what you learn. And it's because of the network that goes out.
And it's like, it's an interesting point, right? Because you can kind of dumb it down to abundance mentality and being open to possibilities of things to do. Like, it doesn't matter where we are in our journey. Each and every one of us is hitting levels.
Yeah.
And if we're coming up against that level or that blockage, the way to get past it is to move into an abundance mentality and open our mind.
That's the point I made to Rachel. I said, Rachel, I want to applaud you on your openness, because like when the competitor company, not a competitor really, but the other guy, Craig's company, I said, you were open to that meeting. You shared all of your data with him and he shared all of his data with you. And you went from 2 million to a combined, 10 on your business went from 2 to 10 and his went from 2 to 10 to a $20 million company. And I don't know how many people know this. If you don't know, I'm telling you now, that the irony of this game of building value, building private equity in your own companies and then realizing it through an exit, the bigger the turnover, the higher the multiple, the more value. There's more money at the top end than there is at the bottom. So the bigger you are, the more established you are, not only will you get a bigger dollar amount, but the multiple on the earnings will be higher as well because you have network effects.
You were saying that, as we get older, we get stuck in our ways and the young people are more open, but I think it really applies across the board. When we're running up against those roadblocks, the remedy is where am I exercising a scarcity mentality and how can I turn that abundant? And where am I being closed-minded or fixed in my beliefs? And how can I open myself up to different possibilities?
It's like the people messaging going with a pre-order model. Oh, that doesn't work. That's not ethical. Like, just have an open mind about it. Like, that's obviously a story. Like the way you were raised, or you may have purchased something on a pre-order and you didn't get it and you lost $500 or whatever it is. But just be open-minded to it, because there's some big businesses doing it. I know James has done it. I know, Revolution is that where you're looking at doing it, and VitaDrop's done it on such a different type of product to some of the biggest, the two probably biggest retailers in Australia and got the deal done. So don't say it can't be done when it's being done. Just have an open mind to it.
Yeah, I mean, like it's been done ethically and it's all been upfront and explained. There is no shenanigans. There's no risk. Everyone at the table knows what the deal is. So exactly, like.
Well, there's a win-win, right? There's a benefit, obviously. If you're buying something, if you're buying a sauna on pre-order, there's an incentive for you to do so, to wait 8 weeks. And you're not paying top dollar for it. There's some kind of incentive. There's some kind of deal for you to then wait those 8 weeks. Or you're going to have to pay full price for it somewhere else anyways. Think about it going, I now have 8 weeks to pay for this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work in every sector either. Obviously, if you need medical supplies because you've got a heart condition, you're not going to pre-order that. You need that day. That's fair enough. But in certain circumstances, it certainly fits quite well. So
I agree. So tell me about you're looking at the pre-order model as well, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a new product, or it's relatively new. There's only really like one company in the world that makes the product in this way with this technology. They're out of Korea, and there's a supplier in China that's looking to do similar technology. So we're looking at pre-order model for that, because it's going to be like a $2,000-$3,000 unit.
Yeah, I mean, again, just to have a home on this pre-order model, I'm consulting with a company at the moment, and they've got their product that starts about $2,500, goes up to $400,000, $500,000, and I mean, it's all going to be pre-ordered. So I mean, it's
off the plan is pre-order.
Well, exactly.
So it's exactly what it is.
I mean, this is the type of discussion that you need to be having with a group that you respect. Like, we're constantly talking about business models and ways that are coming through. And one of the things that's happened for me as I turned 50 earlier this year is you get acutely aware that it's now time to kick goals. And I think a lot of our audience are in that period where they're out of their 20s. Some of them are in their 30s. Some of them are now over 40. And they're going, I need to get a really, really sharp focus on things. And, you know, one of the things that, like you've been noticing it, Eric, we've been having a lot of conversations around what is the best and highest use of our time, our resources, our attention. One of the things I did this week, as you guys know, is I set up a Connect profile. So Patrick Bet-David has a platform where you can, set up, and if you're an expert or there's people seeking an audience with you in any way, like they want to get an answer to a question, I want you to look over something. And I basically, people can go there and say, hey, I want to get a text message answer, I want to get a video response, or I want to do a one-on-one Zoom call. And I did it because I get so much inbound on my social media of people go, hey, what do you think of this? Or can you give me your opinion on that? Or can I get 15 minutes with you or whatever? This enables me to say to people, hey, go here. And I have I've decided I'm not answering DMs anymore on social media, because I've now, and I'm telling you this not to promote my Connect profile, because I frankly I don't care if nobody ever books a call, but we've all got to get to a point where we start to get extremely serious about making sure that our attention and our ladders in life are leaned on the right wall. Mm-hmm. And so this is something James is great at. He identifies the right business model and he leans into that thing, and he'll quickly kill a bad idea, as I do. So for everyone listening, if you find that your days are getting full of shit, find ways or systems to stop doing the stuff that is taking all the time away from you, and because you don't have time, and focus and learn to focus. Start really assessing, am I on the right thing here? Like this pre-order model. So many people are stuck in their ways of just not being able to do it.
And this is just as relevant, if not more relevant, in everyday life as it is in business, right? The old adage, less is more, definitely rings true here. And I think before we start to add goals and objectives and different things that we want in our lives, we should give it an audit and see what we can take away. Like recently, Dom and I just decided not to go on a 2-month holiday to Europe this year because, the life has changed, things have changed. We've bought another property since we purchased the tickets, and we realized that going on this trip, this thing that's supposed to be a vacation and supposed to refresh us and recharge us, is actually going to do the opposite. And then we've got other things that we need to dial into right here at home. So, sometimes it's about subtracting the good things as well in order to move forward and advance.
Yeah. Tony Robbins says, sometimes when you think on the edge of a breakdown, you're actually on the edge of a breakthrough. And it's just a few decisions like that, saying no to this, or like I sat down, did an audit and said, so much of my time and lack of joy is soaked up in here. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting because in the first day, what I did was I went on to ManyChat, and I didn't know how to use ManyChat. And I'm like, how do you set up ManyChat so that when somebody DMs you, an automatic DM goes back? Because what happens, I DM Patrick Bet-David on something that he posted, and I got his ManyChat response going, hey, I don't check my social media hardly at all, but if you do want to talk to me, here's my Connect profile. And I thought, I'm going to do that. But the other thing that happened the next day, I got 3 text message responses the next day through Connect, people going, Adam, can you give me your opinion on this? So it was a text message. People pay me $60 to write them a text message now, and it's $2,000 US an hour if you want to talk to me. And what happens is I only now get people that are just serious, who are actually going to listen, and I now give a shit about what I type because I'm getting compensated for it. Otherwise, I'm going to focus on my shit, And I think all of us can learn from that because we fill our day with so much shit that is not focused on.
You get what you pay for, right? Like,
Totally.
it's so crazy. Have you seen that graphic of the horse where it's like, this is the price for $500 design, and it's like a stick figure, and then it's like, this is the price for $5,000, and it's like a full, beautiful colored in horse. We should throw it up. But that's exactly...
You can do it cheaper,
Yeah.
But as you get older, you start to realize the business model really matters. Your attention really matters.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that I look at now. Like I'll say this on most people who send me reels now, I don't even watch them. I just get reels all day. I just ignore them. I'm just like, I literally don't even, and you just got to do an audit and sit down and go, where is my attention? What's sucking my energy?
You know, it's funny. Obviously, we have heaps of mates that send us just reel after reel after reel. But I've got one mate from Canada that he's hilarious, and he's all about quality. And his reels are quality. He doesn't send a lot, but when he sends them, you watch them.
Real brand.
Those are the ones you want to, put the attention to. It's quality, right? They're taking the time, they're serious, and you go, fuck, these are amazing. Every time, never fail.
I need to
then you have other friends that just keep sending you shit. It's like, it's not even funny, man.
I need to give this advice to Dom. Like, sometimes I look at my Instagram and it's like, when it's 9+, that means she's gone over single figures. I'm like, I just get overwhelmed when I see that. I'm not going to look at it.
That is what marriage is in the end, is sending each other memes from different bedrooms. It's just like...
Memes are okay, but it's always videos. It's like, I'm not that, and it's, that meme where it's like, when your friend switches from memes to videos and you're like, I just can't go there with you.
In some of my groups, I had this wild idea yesterday that in a couple of these WhatsApp groups, I'm going to test something where I just say to the group, look, because what eventually happens is they all descend into a real sending community, and then say, look, I'll stay in this group, but I actually only want to read anything that's actually a real brief, but a real update about you and your life or something interesting, not a reel or not a piece of formatted, because it's just so prolific now, and it's such a draw on your attention,
And we all have good stories, like that story yesterday of me helping that kid. Like, it's a feel-good story, It's like a full circle. Now, I could sit here and just keep it to myself, but I think it's important because there could be someone that you're chatting with or not giving enough attention to or time, right? And it's all for free. I'm not sitting there charging for this advice or anything. It's just, I'm passionate about it, and I want it, it'll be a story in 5 years' time going, hey, where you at? How did you go? Where's your wealth at? Have you bought more property? And
I love that too.
Yeah. And it's just, it's real stories. And I think we are now living, like, we're the most connected and the most disconnected we've ever been. And we're now living in the stories of others, not our own story. And it's crazy. Like, you'll sit there when, Donald Trump and this, and it's bad so bad.
I'm reading, I fell in love with the Dune movies, and I'm going back and I'm reading.
Jen loves them.
I'm reading the books, and they're just incredible. So I've never been a fiction. I used to always read business books before bed, but then when the anxiety got to a certain level, I'm like, that's it, I'm taking up fiction. So anyway, I'm reading the Dune books, and in part 3, Children of Dune, the son of Muad'Dib, the son of Paul Atreides, has kind of like, if you've watched the movie, you'll understand this, otherwise it won't make sense to you, but he has like access to all ancient memories of many, many people. And he's like this superstar kid or superstar brain in a child's body. Anyway, he has to go on this journey, and then he gets caught in a trap and comes across this teacher. I'm up to this part in the book now, so I don't know who the teacher is. And the teacher says to him, he's like, what can I learn? The kid says, what can I learn from you? And the guy goes, you can learn many things from me. Your journey starts now. So you have all these histories and all these stories of ancient people, but you don't know how to create your own story yet.
Yeah.
And it's to your point, right?
Yeah. I think we all have, and this is why I say to our clients all the time, is recognize your own value, because you all have amazing stories. I did a coaching call yesterday with a guy, and he had a 10-figure online business, sold it, did really well, and he started another business in the online space. This is the one I was telling you about, James, yesterday. And And then he's talking about funds, right? He needs more funds to build the business up. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, you can bring in a partner and give away equity. You can go, you know, get a loan against, you know, an asset. Have you heard of inventory finance, you know? And he's like, actually, I have it. No. And I explained it to him. I said, you know, I know we're starting to use it in one of our businesses. Adam already uses it. James has used it. And it's very good if you can manage it, right? Especially when you're importing, what he wants to start doing is going vertical and import. And then I said, but what you need to do is you got to tell a story, right? When you're sitting down with these finance guys, it's a big difference when you're going, yeah, hi, I'm, you know, John, and I used to have a civil contracting business, and I now started an online business, and I want, you know, inventory financing, because financing is not just about what's on the paper, right? It's about relationships and trust. So I said, you need to work on your story. So when I do these intros to you and you're sitting down with these guys, you can explain to you, hi, I'm John. I've grown a business from 0 to 10 million. I sold it over 6-7 years. I've now have a new business, right? I've grown it from 0 to X in 3 years. And this is why I need the money. And this is how I'm going to do it. And he's like, fuck. He's like, I didn't think of that. This is amazing advice. And I'm just like, to me, it's so obvious, right? What was it called? Unconsciously competent, right? It's like, yeah, like I was just, and here I am, like blew this guy away with this one comment, and he's just
like, it's that relationship stuff there.
Yeah,
how to win friends and influence.
Yeah,
build a relationship with you.
Yeah,
build. You know,
yeah, and it's all relationship. But this is what people don't understand. Oh, I don't have the service, mate. It's all relationship. Believe me.
Like this is a text. I've just put it up from my banker. At NAB, you know, hey Adam, great chatting today. Just ran me on the way home from work. How's it going? What's happening? He listens to the pod, and like, let me know. We're going to catch up and go for a spin in the Porsche. Yeah. You know, like, let's. Yeah. And like, this is the relationship with your bank.
And this is the
like, how does that even exist?
And this is the introductions I'm doing today. I'm introducing him to James because there's some value there. I'm introducing him to my mate that's a finance guy. I'm going to introduce him to Adam so he could put him on to the guy that just sent him that message on the phone. And this is the network.
It's all relationship, and that's where you pay for access.
Yeah.
Guys, we're running a little bit over time, not too much. But anything else you wanted to share quickly before we wind it up for the day? No? Guys, if you're listening, drop a comment. If you're on YouTube, drop a comment below. Let us know what you think. We are collecting at the moment some questions. So if you go to our Instagram and you send us a DM, so it's Unemployable Media on Instagram, follow us there. We've now got a new social media guy, Jansen, who's doing some really cool stuff. It's actually more interesting to follow now than it has been, boring in the past. Yeah. But if you go over there and follow it, drop us a DM. He's collating questions from you guys in the audience, and we're going to start answering those on the Friday sessions and getting into it. We've got some really good ones so far. Rest assured we have got them, we have read them, and we will put them on the docket going forward.
That's awesome.
So yeah, drop a comment below. Let us know what you think and how you're enjoying these sessions. And just a reminder...
It's fucking waiting for the last one right before the bell.
No, I'm not going there.
He's loading up a rabbit punch.
I can feel. I don't even go for. I can feel it coming from this side.
I'm composing.
It's like this.
And just that last one right before the bell.
Yeah. Anyway, so just a reminder as well, if you have a business, go and check out Early Bird, because they are legit doing some awesome practical stuff right now. This isn't some high level non-practical stuff. We're trying to get MX Store as a client at some point, because the impact on a big business is massive, but on a small business it's massive as well. So go check out our sponsor, earlybird.ai. Go check out the boys. Thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, and most of all, thank you to the audience for being here. We really appreciate you. We hope that this has become a kind of a go-to learning resource for you, like a university with swearing.
And James.
It was.
Have a great week, guys. See you on the next one. Bye for now. Hey there. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.